Hi everyone, we are live. Just wanted to read from a book to celebrate the end of Navratri. My face is a little dark from this angle. How should we do this? Like this? Anyways, I painted Bhuvaneshwari and she is currently here. I'm so glad. Om Hrim Shrim Krim Bhuvaneshwari Namaha. I get it now. Face this side for the light to work. Okay, David Kinsley's Tantric Visions of the Goddess, published by University of California Press, first in the 1980s, and then now we have a reprint in 2023. I first became aware of the group of Hindu goddesses known as the 10 Mahavidyas while conducting research on the goddess Kali, Jai Maa Kali, Joy Maa Kamakhya, in Kolkata during my academic year 1968 to 69. Kali is nearly always listed as the first of this group of 10 unusual goddesses, and in many ways is the exemplary Mahavidya. This is Dr. David talking, his opinions according to his research. I don't know if he's a practitioner or not, but yeah, I love Kali too. Shout out to Maa Kali. Oh, and today the Panchang or moon sign currently is in Cancer moon. It is also the sign, according to some reports, of Paris Hilton. So if you need to like connect the energy, you can just kind of review like the things she's done or the things she's said. Yeah, it's very motherly, and I also feel connected with the universe and feeling very generous to share with you guys more knowledge on Tantra. Woo, we all love Tantra. Okay. It was not until 1983 to 84 in Varanasi, however, that I began to undertake detailed research on this group. With the help of a fellowship from the Canadian Social Sciences and Humanities Research Council, I investigated literary sources and did field research on Mahavidya temples, iconography, and worship. I returned to Varanasi in 1992 to 93 to continue my research, this time with the help of a grant from a university. During my research in Varanasi, I was fortunate to have the assistance of many people. Om Prakash Sharma was indispensable in helping me locate several Mahavidya temples and paintings, putting me in touch with many knowledgeable people and finding relevant texts. Virendra Singh, who patiently attempted to teach me Hindi, was always encouraging about my work. Mahant Sri Ramashankar Tripati of the Kashi Vishwanath Temple held frequent useful discussions with me during 1983 to 84 and translated several relevant Sanskrit texts about the Mahavidyas for me. Hemendra Nath Chakravarti was especially important in helping me think through the meaning of several of the Mahavidyas and in locating and translating for me several crucial passages related to the Mahavidyas as a group and to individual Mahavidyas. I also appreciated the many discussions I had with Mark something at his home overlooking Asigat. I remember these chats as a pleasant blend of sober scholarly inquiry and amusing speculation on the mysteries presented by this unusual group of Hindu goddesses. And then he goes on to thank like the editors and people who supported him, including his family. Okay, we move on to the introduction. The goddesses who are known as the 10 Mahavidyas, obscure beings whose significance is peripheral to the basic themes of Hindu spirituality. Should we dismiss them as tangential to Hindu religion or not? That is his research question. We know the Mahavidyas from a variety of sources. Many goddess temples across North India contain paintings and images of them. Contemporary lithographs portray them both as a group and individually. Dhyana mantras describe them for liturgical and meditative purposes, and they are the subject of several tantric digests. The Mahavidyas have been known as a group since the early medieval period, meaning after the 10th century CE, like 900s. So that would be like the end of the Tang Dynasty in Chinese history. Some of them predated this development and continue to be very well known in their own right, such as the fierce black goddess Kali. She is usually the primary or Adhi Mahavidya. Kamala, who is the same as the very popular goddess Sri Lakshmi, is also a member of this group. Tara and Tripura Sundari, lesser known but still far from obscure, are other examples of Hindu goddesses who are popular on their own and as part of the group. On the other hand, Baglamukhi, Chinnamasta, Dhumavati, and Matangi are rarely mentioned apart from the Mahavidyas. This is his more systematic research. The aim of this study is to reflect on the meaning of the Mahavidyas both as a group and as individual deities. As a group, they are a curious collection. It is not at all apparent why these particular 10 goddesses have become associated with one another. As for the individual goddesses, several are obscure and have received no scholarly attention. In some cases, the sources available on individual Mahavidyas are so limited that it is difficult, if not impossible, to reconstruct their histories or gain a clear impression of their worship. This study is not definitive or conclusive. Throughout my study, I was told many times by people, priests, scholars, painters, and practitioners that the Mahavidyas are all one. Sometimes they were responding to a question concerning the significance of the group as a whole, and sometimes to one concerning the peculiarities of an individual goddess. I often took this reply to indicate that the person did not have an appropriate answer to the question. Such questions as, why does Baglamukhi like yellow? What does the name Baglamukhi mean, and what is its significance? Why does Kali stand on Shiva? What is the significance of the name Matangi? Often elicited a look of incomprehension. Why would I want to know this anyway? Followed by the comment that all of the Mahavidyas are the same. They are all different expressions of the same goddess who enjoy taking many forms for her own pleasure and the needs of her devotees. Sare pyare bhakton hum darshan karenge. A lot of the Chalisa bhajans you can find online, and I will link some in the description as well. I just listened to the Maa Kamakhya Chalisa, which is mentioned in this book, before I started this live. I usually took this as a formulaic reply, the kind that Hindus often make to non-Hindus who stand bewildered before the fantastic array of divinity expressed in the immense Hindu pantheon. After a careful study of the individual Mahavidyas, however, it became apparent to me that in many ways this comment, they are all one, is important in the understanding of the significance of the individual manifestations and their worship. Texts that dwell in detail on the Mahavidyas, the Tantra Sara, Shakta Pramoda, Shakti Samgama Tantra, and many others discuss each Mahavidya according to a clear structure. That is, the description and worship of each goddess is outlined in many terms. No matter how different she may appear, they are similar terms. She is made to conform to an accepted structure that has at least two central components: a ritualistic approach to the deity that is individual and tantric in nature, and a philosophical mythological paradigm of the Mahadevi, great goddess, to which the individual Mahavidya is compared or equated. Whether the sadhaka practitioner worships Kali or Kamala, whether one seeks worldly boons or spiritual awareness, set patterns of worship determine how one approaches the deity. There are some frogs here, so if there are sounds, it's either the frog or the lizard, but lizards usually sleep by this time. The The adept must know, perfect and repeatedly recite the goddess's mantra, japa sadhana, throughout the worship rituals, carefully select and protect a place of worship with appropriate mantras and mudras, hand gestures, correctly imagine and interiorize the goddess, draw or carefully imagine and worship her yantra, invoke the goddess's hymns, including her 100 and 1,000 name hymns, offer her standard 16-part puja worship or an abbreviated form of it, and make her wish or wishes known to the chosen deity. The overall intent of the worship also has normative aspects. In general, the sadhaka seeks to identify with the goddess in question, to have a vision of her, and to gain a boon that is understood to be part of her store of grace. In the logic of the worship, if one is able to become the goddess, one can obtain that which she possesses, be it redemptive knowledge or the power to annihilate one's enemies. अगर सिद्धि प्राप्त होगा तो, in Hindi, I think that's how they say it, to gain the siddhi of a particular goddess. This type of worship, generally known as tantric, is strongly individualistic. So it really suits the United States where I am right now. Tantric texts emphasize its secrecy. The mantras of the goddesses, which are the basic building blocks of tantric worship and represent the essential power of the goddesses, are always disguised and must be decoded by those with special knowledge before their exact components can be understood. A guru, a spiritual master who is expert and accomplished in the worship of a particular goddess, transmits the mantra of that goddess and other details of worship to the initiated individual. The guru gives this information only after determining the capability of the adept. Furthermore, the guru chooses the goddess whose peculiarities match the predilections of the initiate. An ideal match is supposedly made according to the guru's superior spiritual intuition and knowledge of both the initiate and the goddess. She becomes the initiate's special goddess to whom she or he will devote intense energy over a lifetime. It is uncommon for a person to be initiated into more than one goddess. It is more typical for someone to focus on one particular goddess and to find in her the satisfaction of all worldly and spiritual needs. This goddess becomes the great goddess. This relationship between the goddess and the practitioner is individual and personal, and in this sense is secret. That is, only the devotee and the goddess knows its nature and peculiar features. It is not shared with the public, not even with family members. The philosophical mythological model to which most of the individual Mahavidyas conform is exemplified in the Lalita Sahasranama as an early 1,000 name hymn in praise of Tripura Sundari in her form as Lalita. This text attributes several dominant characteristics to Lalita. It identifies her in a number of ways and in many epithets as the highest reality in the cosmos, identical with certain philosophical absolutes such as Brahman. As the highest reality, she oversees the three principal cosmic functions: creation, maintenance, and destruction. Related to this role as cosmic queen in her role as slayer of demons, she protects the world and the position of the gods by defeating demons that they have found too formidable. In this respect, she is said to transcend or empower the great male gods Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, who are often said to be helpless in the face of demons she defeats. She is identified with the physical creation itself. She is Prakriti, the inherent or vital principle of creation. She is also usually identified with Shakti, the inherent power of creation, Atman, the spiritual essence of reality, and Purusha, another term denoting the spiritual aspect of creation. She is described as the consort of Shiva and in this role is a model wife. She has many benign qualities and grants boons to her devotees, including spiritual attainments and enlightenment. She is also said to have fierce, terrible, frightening aspects, and sometimes she is said to like meat, liquor, and blood all considered polluting in other practices. She is also lovely to behold and erotically powerful. The ways and extent to which an individual Mahavidya conforms to this model vary, to be sure. As one may expect, hymns to goddesses such as Kali and Chinnamasta paint them in rather fierce tones, while Kamala and Bhuvaneshwari are fairly benign in their hymns. But each goddess, in her own way, approximates the paradigm. Om Hrim Shrim Hrim Bhuvaneshwari Namaha. From descriptions of Kali in her dhyana mantras, one might expect her to lack any pacific, like peaceful or nurturing qualities, but her thousand name hymns describe her as having both. From Dhumavati's dhyana mantras, one would expect that she would lack positive, beneficent features, but her thousand name hymn says that she has many such qualities. Conversely, one is surprised to find fierce or terrible aspects to Kamala, given her strong associations with good fortune, fertility, and royal authority, but such qualities are mentioned. It is also surprising, given the description in their dhyana mantras and their stories about their origins, that every one of them is strongly associated with Durga in her role as demon slayer. Each goddess, no matter how remote she may seem from the great goddess in other ways, in her thousand name hymn is associated with protecting cosmic order by slaying demons. This is striking given how different some of the Mahavidyas appear to be from each other. These texts seem to make the point that indeed, in the case of the Mahavidyas, are all one. The origin myths of the group as a whole also makes this point, saying that all 10 forms arose from one goddess, and all are different facets, aspects, or avatars of that goddess. They make the point by suggesting that an adept who delves deeply enough into any one of the Mahavidyas will find them all in her. They inhere in each other and represent different facets of a single multifaceted being. The adept or devotee need not worship all 10 Mahavidyas to gain their assortment or blessings or siddhis. He or she only needs to cultivate an intense and sustained rapport with one goddess to discover the blessings of all. But why would one want to receive the blessings of them in the first place? Why would a Hindu practitioner go out all the way to establish with these outrageous goddesses? What are the blessings to be had from these unusual goddesses? An important key to understanding or appreciating the Mahavidyas, I think, lies precisely in their radical aspects. It is true that some of the Mahavidyas are benign deities associated with such worldly boons such as wealth, fecundity, and security. However, most of the Mahavidyas are associated with marginality, inauspicious qualities, pollution, and death. They might be termed anti-models. By anti-models, I mean that their roles violate approved social values, customs, norms, or paradigms. Several of the Mahavidyas also subvert the strong emphasis in the Hindu tradition on avoiding pollution. Death, which is highly polluting, is a dominant theme in the iconography and worship. Several Mahavidya goddesses dwell in cremation grounds and sit on corpses. Several wear garlands of severed heads, always male, or hold severed heads. Several receive blood sacrifice, always of male victims. Several like blood, perhaps need it, and sometimes are said to be smeared with it. They are also sexually aggressive. In the case of Matangi, we have a goddess who prefers pollution and who requires her devotees to be in a state of pollution when they offer her substances such as menstrual blood. In many ways, the goddess Kali, who is almost always termed as the first of the Mahavidyas, is the prototype of the group in terms of being what I termed an anti-model. She haunts the cremation grounds. She wears a garland of severed human heads, which are often gushing blood that smears her body. She holds a freshly severed head in one of her hands. She receives blood sacrifice at her temples. She rides a ghost or a corpse as her vehicle. She is almost always naked. She is aggressive and is often standing on her male consort. She is powerful and is shown having a consort who sometimes lies on a funeral pyre. Her companions are ghosts, jackals, and female furies. Her hair is wild and unbound. Her tongue lolls out grotesquely, rudely, suggesting an insatiable, indiscriminate hunger and thirst. Kali insults, subverts, and mocks the social status quo, particularly as it defines proper behavior for women. Appreciating the liberating potential of anti-models is one way of appreciating the Mahavidyas. I argue that it is a feature of certain aspects of tantric spirituality in particular, but I also think that it is a muted theme in much of the non-tantric Hindu tradition as well. There is an insistence in Hinduism that the world as it appears to us is a leela, a show that there remains hidden from our normal view on an aspect of reality that is different from our egocentric way of apprehending it. The world is not the way we like to think it is, and the sooner we realize that, the quicker we will make progress in acquiring spiritual maturity. The Mahavidyas, as anti models, are awakeners, visions of the divine that challenge comfortable and comforting fantasies about the way things are in the world. Part 1: The Mahavidyas as a group. The order in which the Mahavidyas are given varies somewhat, as do the goddesses in the group. In contemporary sources, however, the following goddesses in the following order are most common: Kali, Tara, Tripura Sundari or Shodashi, Bhuvaneshwari, Chinnamasta, Bhairavi, Dhumavati, Bhaglamukhi, Matangi, and Kamala. The 10 are described in most sources as follows. Kali is the first Mahavidya. Tara is the second Mahavidya. She is similar in appearance to Kali. She is dark. Her left foot is placed on a corpse, or on Shiva, she wears a tiger skin. Her hair is tied in a long braid. She is pot-bellied and has 4 arms. In her left hand, she holds a knife and a severed head, and in her right hand she makes the sign of giving favors and granting fearlessness. She often stands in the midst of a cremation fire. Shodashi, also known as Tripura Sundari, Lalita, and Raja Rajeshwari, is a beautiful young girl of 16 with red complexion. She is sometimes shown astride Shiva in sexual intercourse. They are on a pedestal or couch supported by the gods Brahma, Vishnu, Rudra, and Indra. Some descriptions say that the 4 gods who support her pedestal are Brahma, Vishnu, Rudra, and Yama. Sometimes she is said to sit on a lotus that emerges from the navel of Shiva, who is reclining below her. Her 4 arms hold a noose, goad, bow, and arrows. Bhuvaneshwari, who is said to nourish the 3 worlds, holds a piece of fruit in one of her 4 hands, makes the sign of assurance with another, and holds a goad and noose in the other 2. Her breasts are large and ooze milk. She has a bright, light complexion and smiles pleasantly. And for today, I will end here. And thank you all so much for watching. We will get another close-up of Bhuvaneshwari. Jai Mata Di! Happy Navratri, which just ended.